Volkswagen South Africa is recalling well over 25,700 VW Polo vehicles that were sold between February of 2025 and February this year. The National Consumer Commission, or the NCC, has now confirmed that the recall is to correct the handbrake fittings. The NCC says the handbrake may pose a potential safety risk, particularly when the vehicle is parked. The vehicle manufacturer is also advising owners of the affected vehicles to take precautionary measures when parked until it has been inspected. And VW South Africa says any inspection and associated repairs will be done at no cost to the vehicle owners. All right, let's further unpack this now with National Consumer Commission's Head of Complaints and Investigations, Ms. Prudence Moilwa. Prudence, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today. Welcome. So well over 25,000 VW Polo Vivos, we understand, have been recalled over what you've termed as safety concerns. Take us in brief detail of these defects and potential risk if not addressed.
Yeah, as you've already stated, it's the issue with the handbrake. And I think because whenever you have a handbrake on, you have a sense of assurance that your vehicle would not roll down. So that's why we're talking about it now, to say to the consumers who are in possession of these Polo Vivos, to say, please take extra precaution. Make sure that if you're driving a Polo Vivo that is an automatic, put it on park. And if you are driving a manual one, make sure that at least you do not, you put it on gear 1. I think these are some of the safety precautions that we have discussed with VW to make sure that even if as consumers take back the vehicles for them to be fixed, in the meantime, they park their cars with precaution to make sure that the cars do not, roll down. And I think another important one is that they do not park their cars on a slope, uphill or downhill, just to make sure that the vehicle does not roll down and cause damage or even accident for other motorists and also for the drivers.
This is a lot of information there, Prudence. Now, let's talk about this category specified for these vehicles. Is it all vehicles, the Polo Vivos, that were bought between February 2025 and this year, 2026? Or does this also apply to, of course, includes used as well as resold vehicles, specifically those private sales that we're talking about, that we see a lot of as well in the country? Are they also covered?
No, in terms of the notification, those ones are not covered. So these are vehicles that were made available to the markets from February 2025 up to February 2026. So these are fairly new vehicles that VW has actually identified as not having been manufactured according to specifications. So they were able to pick it up fairly quickly in terms of the fact that, there might be a problem with the vehicles that have been recently developed and that have been recently manufactured. And that's why they are able to identify the ones that were manufactured from that particular date. So it's very important for consumers to look out also for being contacted by VW. As we were saying, these are fairly new vehicles that are still under warranty, and we envisage that VW still have all these consumers on their database as they are still under warranty.
All right. So we know also that the manufacturer, which is good news, is pretty much responsible for all the inspections and repairs. Prudence, talk to us about what steps consumers who are affected owners should take in order to rectify these defects. Where do they go to get their vehicles inspected? We know that, of course, as I've said, these will be done at no cost to the consumer, which I suppose is good news for the consumer.
Yes, it is indeed good news for the consumer. And that also means that it doesn't affect the warranty and it shouldn't affect the insurance in terms of the quality of the vehicle. So it is indeed good news, but also over and above, it's not just what the supplier is saying. The National Consumer Commission is also implementing the Consumer Protection Act, which also says that as and when a product is being recalled, that is done at no cost to the repairs are done at no cost to the consumer. So it is something that the Consumer Protection Act outlines to say that consumers should not bear the cost for product recalls. It is in essence meant to assist both suppliers and consumers in order to facilitate the process wherein we ensure safety, but also suppliers get a chance to also fix whatever it is that might be wrong with their product.
I want to ask you a very quick question before my final question, right, Prudence, if you can merge them in your response. Can those who have already incurred personal cost or accidents actually be reimbursed through this process? And also, we know that vehicles, as you just earlier alluded to, these are pretty new vehicles. We know that vehicles and other goods are supposed to go through rigorous checks and quality assurance before being made available to the public. Prudence, as the NCC, when such faults or recalls are actually announced, as we saw with the other high-end brand vehicles last year, question is, how could these steps have been missed, especially in the context where these are fairly new model Polos? Why was it not detected any sooner?
Yeah, I think something that we are coming to accept, and I think it happens the world over, is that machines that are created by men are bound to have faults. And I think product recall as a process throughout the world is meant to exactly deal with that, so that we don't have manufacturers hiding that their products are faulty, but also to take full accountability. But also on the basis of if there is any risk of injury or something that has already occurred, we want to reiterate that the Consumer Protection Act is actually, very comprehensive around the rights of consumers and redress that is allowed even within this context. So the recall itself does not take care of things that might have occurred or that might occur. Section 61 of the Consumer Protection Act provides for various types of redress mechanisms that consumers can employ as and when they've suffered either damage to property or even in cases where an accident may occur as a result of a faulty product.
All right. Thank you so much for that information. Ms. Prudence Moilwa there of the National Consumer Commission on the recall of well over 25,000 VW Polo Vivo vehicles over safety concerns.